Girly Girl Bookworm. So it is now 2014, and as you can tell, I'm back home. I'm filming from right here for my next three videos just because there's a lot of books that I want to be showing you, and it's a lot easier for me to be sitting down with them and picking them up than having a basically almost naked bookshelf behind me with all my books missing and then having to bend over and grab them. I just figured this would be a lot easier. So as I said, I'm going to be making three videos right now, so you would have to get used to looking at me like this, sorry. But as you can tell from the title, these are my top books that I read in 2013. I read 141 books this year, which blows my mind because I originally set my goal to 50 books on Goodreads because last year I only read 57. And I knew I was going to be student teaching and things, so I was like, there's no way in heck I'm going to be reading more than 50. And I did, by a lot. So, not that I'm complaining because I read some really great books this year. And I don't want to dwell too much talking because I picked 17 books, I think. Yeah. Oh, one's over here. Yeah, I picked 17 books, and because I figured 13 was way too hard. And so I went with 17 because that's random. Um, and if I mention a series, basically I mean all of them in the series because I just couldn't grab every book because then I would have basically nothing on my bookshelf and they'd be all here and it'd be really confusing to put them back. So let's just get started. These are in no particular order. I literally just grabbed them off my shelf and brought them in here. So there's no order because it would just be impossible to put them in ranking order. So the first book I picked was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. I read all of these books from June to July, and I loved them. This is my first time reading them, and I really, really enjoyed this series. So obviously, Harry Potter's got to go on this list. And the next book I'm putting on this list is Requiem by Lauren Oliver. This is the third book in the Delirium series. This is I rated this 5 stars. I read this summer during the booktubeathon, and I loved it, even though people hate it. I don't care. The next book I'm putting on this list is Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. I also gave this 5 stars. This is the second book in the Lunar Chronicles series. I was not crazy about Cinder last year, and I was nervous about picking this book up, and I finally did, and I loved this book, and I cannot wait for Crest to come out this February. The next book I picked for my list is very surprising because when I bought it, it was literally just because I needed an extra $3 in my cart, and so I bought it, and surprisingly, it's on my top list, and that is Ophelia by Lisa Klein. I read this back in January, February-ish. I got this for my Christmas gift card money, and this is a retelling of Ophelia and Hamlet, and I loved it. 5 stars. The next book I'm putting on this list is The Wedding by Nicholas Sparks. And I love this book. It's about a man and he is trying to get his wife back. And it's like the sequel to The Notebook, and it's amazing. The next book I put on my list is Tiger's Quest by Colleen Houck. I read book 2, 3, and 4 this year. I read Tiger's Quest last year, and I love this series, and yeah, not much to say about that one. The next book series on my list is Beautiful Creatures by Kami Garcia and Margaret Stoll, and I read all 4 books this year, and I gave them all about 4 stars, but they're still good enough to be on my favorites. The next series is Wake by Amanda Hocking, and this is the first book in the Watersong series. There's 4 books, and I read all 4 this year, and again, 4 stars, really good series, and they have made it to my favorite list. The next book I picked, I read in January. I won this book on a Goodreads giveaway, and that is Reconstructing Amelia by Kimberly McCreight, and this is a thriller kind of book. This girl, it's told between this girl's perspective and her mom. She has jumped off a building and it's declared suicide, but her mother gets a text message saying that she didn't jump, and it's all about her mom trying to figure out what happened to her daughter, and it's so good. 5 stars. The next book I read back in February too, and that is 10 by Gretchen McNeil. When I was trying to come up with this list, I was trying to think of the books that I remember reading. Because when you read 141 books, it kind of gets blurred, like what you read and what you didn't read, and kind of things. And this one always sticks out in my head. It's a retelling of Agatha Christie, and then there were none in like today's perspective, and I really enjoyed it. The next book I read was Vixen by Gillian Larkin, and this is the first book in the Flappers trilogy. The next book is Ingenue, and I read both of those this year, and I love these books. They're set in the 20s, and they're just awesome. I'm trying to go through these fast, so that's why if I sound like I'm really talking really fast, it's just because I don't want this to be like 15 minutes long. The next book I read was another surprising read that I was not expecting to love, and I did. And that is The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger, and oh my god, this just is amazing, and it's sad, and it's beautiful, and I just loved it. And obviously, this would not be a top books of 2013 without this book, Allegiant by Veronica Roth, obviously third book in the Divergent series, and last book, and so many feels, and obviously this had to go in this list. The next book is A Million Suns by Beth Revis. I read this book and Shades of Earth this year, and oh my god, so good. I love this trilogy. Definitely one of my top trilogies that I love, and yeah, you should all know about that by now, and if you don't, go check it out. The next book was also another really surprising book that I was not expecting to have on my list, and that is Drink Slay Love by Sarah Beth Durst, and this is about a vampire, and I read this in October, and I loved it. So funny, and just a really lighthearted, quick, great read. As you can tell, my pile's growing bigger. We're getting smaller on the other side, and I got 2 more books left, and it's Poor Little Bitch Girl by Jackie Collins. I loved this book. It's such a quick, easy, like guilty pleasure read, and I really, really enjoy the series. I'm reading it kind of backwards, so I read this one, Goddess of Vengeance, which this one kind of doesn't come in this Lucky Santangelo series, but I'm counting it. The next one was Goddess of Vengeance, and then I just finished Drop Dead Beautiful, so I'm reading the series completely out of order, but I don't care. I love it. So good. It's an adult series too, by the way. And the last book series on my list is Eve by Anna Carey, and I read this whole trilogy this year. I just read the epilogue to the third book in the bookstore the other day, and still so good. And yeah, those are my top books of 2013. I'm sure I could add about like another 10. I loved a lot of the books that I read this year, and yeah. If you would like, I noticed a lot of people are doing their year in books. I would obviously have to do that in segments, seeing as I read 141 books. But if you're interested in that, leave a comment down below, and I will try to accommodate that. And that's it for this video, and I will see you guys really soon. Bye, everyone.